supporting materials have been provided to members of this board. All supporting materials have been provided to members of this board, and the public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. Each vote taken in this meeting will require a roll call vote. And now the regular standard meeting statutory language would be as follows. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made whether perceived or unperceived by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Attendees are further advised that the Fall River Housing Authority is making a recording of this meeting. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Attorney Souza. Ms. Gallagher, will you take the roll call for us, please?
Yes, Chairwoman Sahadi,
Here.
Vice Chairman Underhill,
Here.
Commissioner Burns,
Here.
Commissioner Tache,
Present.
Commissioner Bentley.
Here.
Commissioner Sahadi, if you don't mind reiterating the names of those present.
Certainly. This is the meeting of the Fall River Housing Authority. It's 5 p.m. on March 8th, and present is David Underhill, Vice Chairman, Jason Burns, Treasurer, Roger Tache, Commissioner, Joanne Bentley, Commissioner, and myself, Mary Sahadi, Chairwoman.
Thank you.
You're welcome, certainly. The first item on the agenda this evening is citizen input. Do we have any citizen input this evening?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Mr.
Patrick Higgins. First of all, the requirement that the statement that you just made about your present, that's fine, but the requirement of the open meeting law is that the chairman has to announce the names of the members of the public body who are participating remotely. So your statement has to be, commissioners.
Can we shut this guy off?
That's all right, Roger. I can do an open meeting law complaint. I have no problem with that. Now let's go to my real public input. I don't appreciate this.
Which is a waste of time.
Cardinal Medeiros Towers with one of our rolling vaccine clinics. Obviously, you're trying to get all the residents done at Cardinal Medeiros.
Yeah, so the mayor goes on Facebook saying he's at Cardinal Medeiros Towers with a rolling vaccine that I know nothing about. So apparently the housing authority and the mayor have decided I don't need a vaccine. So you got your wish. I'm not getting one. If I get contagious, I'll infect everybody in the building. Have a good day.
You're an idiot.
Thank you, Roger. You're an idiot too.
Stupidity, gentlemen.
Okay.
And we continue.
We'll continue at this point.
By the way,
other
the open meeting law, you will have an open meeting law complaint because you have a list of property on your agenda that says surplus property, but it does not have the listing of the surplus property. So you will be getting an open meeting law complaint on that too. Thank you, Roger.
If you want to file the open meeting law complaint, just file that, and I'll take care of that with you accordingly. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
You're welcome. Is there any other citizen input for this evening? Hearing none, is there any resident input this evening?
Thank you, Mary. Two things. One, we finally got some soup from with United Way of New Bedford. Hasn't been able to supply us with any. We got some from Blount directly, and it should be coming in. We're adding another building. We'll be doing Cardinal Medeiros Towers, Bishop Eade, O'Brien, Baresi, and we're adding Cattell Towers in. We're hoping as things get better to be able to use community halls to hold meetings and get more resident input on things they'd like to have happen. We were chatting with a few folks recently. They'd like some, and Joey and I have discussed this at length a couple times. We'd like to get some crafts into the different buildings as well as other functions. We were talking about having some of the kids from Diamond hopefully come in to provide us with, one-on-one with the seniors primarily to help them just, get through what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, things are pretty well, actually. We've had a couple of complaints, and I'm going to be on it. David and I talked about this morning. A couple of complaints about the security service not quite being well trained enough. And that's something I know Tim and Ed Majewski and Kevin Spardell and the rest of the folks are working on, and Mike Souza. Sorry, Mike. They're working on getting that done better. You know, it's hard. These people are paid minimum wage. They're not
Right.
the most qualified people on the planet. I hate to say it. And we're working on it. We're trying. That's about all.
Okay, thanks, Ed. And certainly if, you have any additional issues, particularly with security, because we know how important that is, I'm sure both the director and the deputy director will work with you along with Ed to see if we can satisfy your needs.
Thank you, Mary. I've talked to Kevin. I've talked to Tim. David and I. We've been discussing it. We're working on it.
Okay.
You know, what else can we do?
Right,
It's not
exactly.
it's not the greatest time in the world. I hate to say it, everybody who thinks everybody should be wonderful. We've still got a hell of a lot of headaches out there.
I so agree. I so agree. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other resident input this evening? Seeing none, the next item on the agenda is the minutes of the regular meeting held on February 8th, 2021. Do I have a motion to accept those minutes?
Commissioner Bentley, motion to accept minutes.
Second, Commissioner Burns.
Do we have any discussion or questions with regard to the minutes? Hearing none, Martha, will you take the roll call, please?
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill,
Yes.
Commissioner Tache,
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Next item are the bills and communications, the vouchers. The recommended action is to accept the vouchers as presented. Do I have a motion? The motion.
Commissioner Underhill, motion to accept. Commissioner Burns, second.
Thank you. Do I have any questions with regard to the vouchers? They're in your packet. Hearing no questions, Martha, please take the roll call.
Commissioner Underhill,
Yes.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Tache,
Yes.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Item 4, other management reports. There are 7 management reports included in your packet. It's number 1 is the applications, 2 is the occupancy reports, 3 is the tenant accounts receivable, 4 other work order reports, 5 is the monthly Section 8 voucher activity report, 6 is the monthly personnel count and the report, and 7 is the Director of Modernization's monthly report. Recommended action is to accept the reports.
Commissioner Bentley, I make a motion to accept the reports.
Commissioner Burns, second.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? We have a number of the staff here this evening that could answer any questions that you might have with regard to any one of these reports. Hearing no questions, Martha, roll call, please.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Tache,
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill,
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. The next item on the agenda is the financial reports from the Director of Finance, and I don't see Melissa this evening, so the recommended action is to approve them. Mr. Barrows is here with us, and he can answer any questions with regard to the monthly reports.
Yeah, and if I just might say, I don't see anything unusual from the past trends, which are very favorable, so I would recommend approval.
Commissioner Burns, motion to approve.
Commissioner Tache, second.
Commissioner,
Martha, please.
Commissioner
Roll call.
Burns,
yes.
Commissioner Tache,
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill,
Yes.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Item 6 is an update from our Executive Director, Mr. Barrows.
Yes, thank you. Tonight I have a brief report, and I just want to review our efforts to vaccinate the residents and employees. To date, we've had 3 clinics, and our 4th clinic will be held Friday. So far, we've vaccinated 308 residents, and I think about 70 employees have been vaccinated. So things are going well. We're aiming to vaccinate another 100 this week, as I said, and a further 100 next week. So that should bring the total vaccinated numbers that we've provided up to about 500. And we're finding anecdotally that many residents, I won't say many, but over 20 residents at least have indicated they've already been vaccinated on their own. So obviously our numbers don't include those. So I think things are going very well. In a couple of weeks, we should have almost 50% of the elderly vaccinated that we know about. And we've also engaged the services of Family Service Association. They'll be providing outreach services. So they'll be at Mitchell tomorrow, providing information for those who have any questions about the benefits or drawbacks of receiving a vaccine. And hopefully that will encourage more people to receive the vaccine. So barring any other questions, that is my report.
Thank you. At this particular point, Tim, now that, a number of the employees have also been vaccinated, is everyone back to work full time?
We have 4 or 5 individuals with a medically necessary accommodation, reasonable accommodation. So they are not yet back. We do anticipate a few of those getting back after receiving the 2nd dose, which will be in about 3 weeks, 2 weeks. So on some of these other employees maybe who have not elected, I'm waiting for the overall city rate to decrease. It's obviously in a great trend where the last number, I believe the city was down to a 4% rate. So I think once that really gets down a bit and more people become vaccinated, there would be no reason for those people to work at home.
But there's only a handful of them at this point?
That's correct.
Excellent, excellent.
Correct.
Does anyone have any questions of Mr. Barrows?
I do, Commissioner Burns, Chairwoman Sahadi. I just wanted to get an indication as to how we are contacting the residents to gauge their interest or ability to get the shot. Are we dropping, leaflets? Are we knocking on doors? Are we making phone calls? How are we going about contacting the residents?
Commissioner Burns, we're doing all 3 of those. We start by outreaching with the flyers, and then we'll follow up with door knocking if we have to, and then they get scheduled through phone calls. But yeah, essentially it's it's a slow effort, but it seems to be working. And again, we've enlisted Family Service Association to assist us in doing that. Joey Da Silva has done an excellent job. He's working very hard at getting things done. So has Deb Morissette and Rita LeBeau. So, it's time consuming. This Thursday, we're doing the 2nd shot for those individuals who received it at Lady of Light. And then Friday, the 1st shot for Mitchell and O'Brien. So it is quite an effort, and we'll continue to, make outreach. Some places I foresee us going back to a 2nd time. So I hope that answers your question.
And so if you're doing it Thursday, what's the process? Do they need to give you like 48 hours notice? How do they, is there parameters for someone to say, go get be signed up for it?
Right. That after you receive the 1st shot, you're automatically signed up for the 2nd. I'm not positive of what the notification process is, but I did talk with Mr. Da Silva today, and he says he's all set for Thursday, the transportation included. So I'm not sure if Kevin has any information on that enrollment process, or Kathleen Povar, but to my knowledge, they have been notified.
So Commissioner Burns, and
Okay.
usually Deborah Morissette, who's done a great job, and some other staff members even have worked on Saturdays. They flyer the buildings, and in the notice, so if they flyered on a Friday or a Saturday, it might say, we need it back by the Tuesday to schedule the vaccinations for the following week. And Deb, if I'm incorrect, you can jump in. And then once the Department of Health verifies the doses and verifies the clinic, we get a link, and then everyone that chooses to be vaccinated, Deborah and Joey and a few other staff members, they go and input that data to get them registered. And then when they go to the clinic, there's a pre-registration. You check the name off the list, then they proceed to the vaccination area, follow on to the observation area, and then there's a pre-checkout for the second vaccination. And then they're given material on the possible effects of the vaccine. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, that's okay. So obviously we just had a resident suggest that he didn't get notified or hasn't been vaccinated. So if he contacted somebody in the building, he could possibly get it on Thursday, or he needs more notice. Is that what I'm gathering?
So speaking with Mr. Higgins on the meeting, so if he wanted the vaccination, we would schedule him. We could probably get him in Friday at one of the 2 Friday clinics, or it would be the following week. So you have to understand there's a lot of data that has to be input for each resident. So there has to be a deadline. You have to get your paperwork back to us by a certain date to give us ample time to input that data. So, but the way it's been going, there's plenty of vaccinations. We're going to have multiple clinics. So if someone missed this one, they can certainly grab the next one. No one's going to be turned away. We just need the paperwork.
All right, perfect. I yield. Thank you very much. Great job.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, moving on to new business. Item 1A is a contract award for balcony repairs at the Raymond D. Holmes apartment. The recommended action is to award the contract to the low bidder, East Coast Masonry and Restoration Incorporated, in the amount of $333,800.
Commissioner Tache, move for adoption.
Commissioner Underhill, second.
Any questions or concerns? Hearing none. Martha, roll call, please.
Commissioner Tache,
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill,
Yes.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi. Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes, sorry, I had to get the dogs to stop barking. Item B, certificate of completion consolidation for new video security upgrades at the Edward F. Dolan Apartments. Recommended action here is approval as well.
Commissioner Tache,
Commissioner
move for
Burns,
adoption.
motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Commissioner Bentley, second.
Martha, roll call, please.
Commissioner Tache,
Yes.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill,
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Item C is a change order number 1 for the elevator improvement project at Cardinal Madeiras Towers. The change order number 1 is an increase in the contract amount in the amount of $134,450 for 6 items and an extension of 42 calendar days to complete the work. Do I have a motion to approve the change order?
Commissioner Bentley, motion to approve.
Commissioner Burns, second.
Any questions or concerns Or Kevin, do you have anything to add about this change order?
Arthur Anderson, our Director of Modernization, is more involved in the day-to-day of it. I can speak briefly on it, and Arthur, certainly if I misspeak, you can jump in. So during the course of this, a lot of things are found. They're unknowns. For example, the pit in the elevator is notorious for gaining water, and it's corroded some of the metal in there. So that's one item. Where is the water coming in? Probably a combination of groundwater and the exterior. So one of the items is to repair the spalling, repoint some of the brickwork, and recaulk the exterior of the elevator shaft. Waterproof the inside of the pit. We're doing the outside and the inside. There's some heat pumps up in the elevator room that have to be relocated. And one of the issues, the items, is a code violation. Back when it was constructed, each floor had a spandrel joint with that lipped on the inside. So if somebody was working in the elevator, on top of the elevator, it's almost like a step, and you could step on it. And that's a code violation now. They wouldn't want anybody having the ability to step on that. So that has to be covered with like a sheet metal to round it, so it prevents anybody from stepping on it. But certainly, if that doesn't satisfy you, I think Arthur may be able to get in more detail.
Arthur, do you have, I'm sorry, Kevin, and I didn't see Arthur there for a second. Arthur, do you have anything to add with regard to this item? Yeah, I don't know that he's there. Anyone have any questions? Hearing no questions, Martha, will you take a roll call on this, please?
Yes, Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill,
Abstain.
Commissioner Tache,
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Item D is a contract award for basement upgrades at Maple Garden. The recommended action is to award the contract to the low bidder, DDC Construction, Inc., in the amount of $1,007,600.
Commissioner Burns, motion to approve.
Commissioner Underhill, second.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions of either Mr. Anderson or Mr. Spadella? Hearing none. Martha, will you take a roll call on that, please?
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill,
Yes.
Commissioner Tache,
Yes.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. The next item is the Residential Emergency Security Guard Service for COVID-19. The recommended action is to ratify an award of a contract with Metro Security Services to continue the security guard coverage at the elderly high rises at an hourly rate of $21.50 for the regular time, $32.25 for holiday or overtime, and commencing on or about March 10th, 2021, and terminating on or about June 30th, 2021. Mr. Barrows, is this a continuation of the contract that we've had?
It is a continuation and is paid from the CARES Act funding.
Does anyone have any questions with regard to the security coverage?
Commissioner Bentley, just one question. What is the anticipation that will happen after June 30th?
Well, we're hoping everyone's going to be vaccinated. this security was provided primarily to isolate the residents several months ago. I think we started back in May or June. We've reduced their hours since then to daytime. So, we're going to have to look at our CARES funding. Definitely after the end of the year, we would have to pay for these services out of our operating budget. So I'm more than willing to continue to assess that with my staff, the need of it. But I anticipate when we don't feel they're any longer needed because of COVID, we would end the service and just continue with our 2 security services, one at Cardinal and the other at Bresci.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to ratify this award?
Commissioner Tache, move for adoption.
Commissioner Burns, second.
Martha, roll call, please.
Commissioner Tache,
Yes.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill,
Yes.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Item 2B are 2 all-wheel drive cargo vans. The recommended action is permission to advertise for the purchase at an estimated cost of $45,855 each. Do I have a motion to advertise?
So move, Madam Chairperson.
Commissioner Underhill, second.
Martha, roll call, please.
Commissioner Tache,
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill,
Yes.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Item C is surplus items. The recommended action is permission to declare items as surplus in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30B. Mr. Barrows, can you speak a little bit about these surplus items?
Yes, the facilities department has deemed them either unusable or not needed. One of the big ones we believe is one of the trucks we're replacing. It's a diesel truck, and we'll be going out to hopefully sell that. The 30B, I believe there's a dollar limit under which we have to go and advertise versus just seek out some or just do an outright disposal. As far as the individual items, again, the facilities department just says they are no longer useful. If you would like to know specifically, Ed Majewski is here and he can address each specific one or those that you really want to hear more information on.
Does anyone have any questions on any of the specific items that are listed? Hearing nothing, can I have a motion to declare these items as surplus?
So move,
Commissioner
Madam
Underhill,
Chairperson.
motion.
Sorry. Commissioner Burns motion to declare these items as surplus.
Do I have a second?
Commissioner Underhill, second.
Martha, please, roll call.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill,
Yes.
Commissioner Tache,
Yes.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Item D is the maintenance tractor. The recommended action is to approve the purchase of one John Deere subcompact snow removal tractor from United AG and Turf in the amount of $25,717.60.
Move for adoption, Madam Chairperson.
Commissioner Bentley, second.
Are there any questions with regard to this purchase? Hearing none. Martha, roll call, please.
Commissioner Tache,
Yes.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill,
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Item 3 is personnel matters. A is the resignation of an employee. The recommended action is to accept the resignation of Melissa Mello, effective March 19th, 2021.
Madam Chair, if I just may address that as the executive director, we're very sad to see her go. She's done a great job. I think the board was very pleased with her performance and her monthly reports. So we wish her the best of luck in her return to the private industry, which she just finds a different animal, so to speak, than the public sector. So it's just her desire to return to the private sector, which is the basis for her leaving us.
Thank you. Yes, she did do a nice job, and she was always here to answer our questions. So it will be sad to see her go. Do I have a motion to accept her resignation?
Commissioner Bentley,
Commissioner Burns.
motion to accept.
Second from Commissioner Burns.
Martha, roll call, please.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Tache,
yes,
Commissioner Underhill,
yes,
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Item B is the Director of Finance. The recommended action is to ratify permission to advertise for the position.
Commissioner Burns, motion to ratify permission to advertise.
Commissioner
Bentley,
Underhill, second,
Martha, roll call, please.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill,
yes,
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tache,
yes,
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Item C is Acting Director of Finance. The recommended action is to ratify a temporary appointment of Nella Souza beginning on March 22nd, 2021.
Commissioner Burns, motion to ratify the temporary appointment of Nella Souza.
Commissioner,
Tache, second,
Martha, roll call, please.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Tache,
yes,
Commissioner Bentley,
yes.
Commissioner Underhill,
yes,
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Item D is temporary property manager positions. There are 2 of them. The recommended action is to approve the appointment of Sarah Souza and Lori Lapointe.
Commissioner Bentley, motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Commissioner Tache, move for adopt, second,
Thank you. Martha, roll call, please.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tache,
yes,
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill,
yes,
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Item E is the warehouse maintenance custodian position. This is a permanent position. The recommended action is to ratify the appointment of Brandon Dyson.
Commissioner Burns,
Underhill, motion to approve,
Commissioner Burns, second.
Commissioner Tache, second,
Commissioner
Martha, please.
Underhill, Commissioner Underhill,
yes,
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Tache,
yes,
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Item F is an inventory asset data entry clerk position. The recommended action is to approve the appointment of Thomas Timms, effective upon replacement.
Commissioner Underhill, approve, motion to approve,
Commissioner Bentley, second.
Commissioner Underhill,
yes,
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tache,
yes,
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Item G is a clerk interviewer position, Section 8. It's for the Section 8 department. The recommended action here is to ratify an in-house posting.
Commissioner Burns, motion to ratify the in-house posting.
Commissioner Underhill, second.
Any comments or questions? Mr. Barrows, is this a new position and going to be discussed in item H below, or is this a replacement?
This is a replacement. The employee in the above action, the inventory asset data entry clerk, came from Section 8, so we're replacing his position.
Understood.
Yep.
Martha, roll call, please.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill,
Yes.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tache,
yes,
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Item H is a discussion with regard to Section 8 reorganization. Mr. Barrows?
Yeah, thank you. So we have under lease about 22,000 vouchers. We've hovered between 2,000 and 2,050 for a few years, and we're authorized to issue up to 2,400 contingent on us having the funding. We recently received a message from HUD that they would like to see our number of vouchers under lease to increase. They feel we have certainly the voucher capacity as well as the reserve capacity to do that. They're saying that even if we issue 50 vouchers a month, that is not enough to keep up with our turnover, as well as the people who maybe just don't qualify. We're in the process of issuing up to 500, not vouchers, but I guess applicants, pull the names off of the waiting list to see who qualifies. So there's a consensus, and this will depend on the conversation tomorrow with HUD, but I think they're going to agree that we need to increase our staffing in that department, which right now is a full-time person. So we would basically double it. And we have the reserves to cover that position. And additionally, for every voucher we do increase under lease, we receive an extra $80 or $90. So you can see 100 vouchers will add up quickly to bringing in more money, more than enough to pay for itself. But more importantly, it's going to maybe satisfy some of the pent-up demand or assist people in looking. This would also include outreach to landlords to get more landlords interested in the program. So we're going to have to talk with HUD tomorrow and get a sense for maybe what they would recommend in terms of the position, whether they think having another clerk would be fine, or maybe some sort of a managerial position in that department. But it would definitely be a hands-on position to assist with the day-to-day tasks. So it really want to be a managerial, more of a, I guess, a higher certified type employee, if you will. Not that they're easy to find in that department, because Section 8 is a very specialized field. So if we do go that direction, it brought up the thought that it would also help to streamline the reporting structure there. Okay, right now we have a director, 2 assistant directors. And I just think if we had 1 assistant director who would be responsible for the applicant list, the wait list, the lease up, the termination, it would just foster more communication in between the various sub-departments. And if I did that, that means I still have a position that I need to move someone to. And we had a, this is like the scenario of if you fail once, try again. So a year or 2 ago, probably 2 years ago, we were looking at creating a compliance officer position, which would benefit several departments in the authority: the tenant selection department, the resident service department, housing management department, legal department, accounting. And it's a position that the senior staff is very, very keen on. It's a high level management position. So what I would like to do, and when I say discussion, is just talk about if the board is at this point willing to let us move forward with that, because obviously it would entail discussions with the union, discussions with the employees involved and the employees affected. And my goal would be to get buy-in from all the parties to move forward on that front. Otherwise, it wouldn't make any sense. The last time we tried to do this, the union had issues with that position. And I think since then, those issues have been resolved. But obviously, we'll revisit that and see, if that's still the case. But it's again, that's just a key side function or action I'd like to take in that department to try to get to operate more efficiently, communicate better, as well as I think it's a win-win with this compliance position that the whole housing authority would really benefit. So it's not just a single department move. So Section 8 reorganization is a little bit of a misnomer. And if you need more information, Kathleen Povar is here. Mike Souza has information as regarding what kind of duties this person would encompass. It's just over the years, what has happened is, as HUD has increased regulations and changed, we've had more and more of these duties taken on by, say, the associate director of management, say by tenant selection in the applicant department, functions that really that's not why they were there, but someone had to do it. So it's pulling all those little pieces that will enable them to better do their core job, if you will. So that's kind of what I just wanted to throw out there. Again, I see the distinct need for increasing the capability in the applicant selection department, but as a byproduct, if you will, I would also like the board to consider having us reach out and investigate making these other two moves, if you will.
Thank you, Mr. Barrows. Kathleen, do you have anything to add with regard to this restructuring or reorganizing of Section 8? You're muted, Kathleen, you're muted.
Hi. Yes. Yeah. So the compliance officer position is something that was conceived about 1.5 years ago, and I was heavily involved in the developing of that job description, but so are a lot of other leaders in the agency, including Attorney Souza for legal, because there's some legal aspects of the position. Actually, certain duties that fall to Attorney Souza, or duties that fall to myself, or Deborah Morissette, or Carrie Farias. A lot of the directors have basically assumed duties over the years because there's no union job position that has all of those duties. Over the last 5 years, we've seen a huge increase in reasonable accommodation requests. There's a lot of tenants that are requesting informal reviews on management decisions, and a lot of these due process issues, or anything that involves like tenants' rights, we have to do our job. We have to do our due diligence as an agency to make sure that we're not violating people's rights or violating any of the laws or regulations or unfunded mandates that we're subject to. So we have to be careful not to make decisions that affect protected classes, or particularly the disabled or victims of domestic violence. And there's an expectation as a landlord that we accommodate residents who have disabilities, and also those who are victims of domestic violence. There are protections, in place for both applicants and residents, and that requires a lot of review and time, and it's something you don't want to mess up. So I just see this position as being extremely valuable to multiple departments, and it would require a lot of coordination and sort of it's very multidisciplinary. So I've always kind of dreamt of having somebody on our team that we could refer to for these kinds of things, and there just isn't. Instead, it's over the years, as Mr. Barrow said, it's been accumulating on people's plates over the years and really taking away from their core duties, their ability to, for example, screen applicants, all the time that it takes to just obtain fingerprints, because we're doing all of our in-house fingerprinting now. That's one of the duties, for example, is doing that screening step with our applicants. And let's see what else. We have a smoke-free housing policy, another unfunded mandate. Enforcement of that is really difficult. It takes a while for managers to be able to get any traction at all with that. We have tenants that are on agreements to comply and have to have nicotine sensors installed in their units. And again, the monitoring of that is just a challenge. So this position would be very valuable, I think, to a lot of us. And there's a lot of room for it to develop too.
Thank you. Thank you. So Mr. Barrows, at this point, what would be the next step in the reorganization?
What we would do is initiate the discussions with the unions and the employees, and again, try to get their buy-in. The position description was developed 1.5 years ago, as Kathleen mentioned. So again, it's just making sure everybody's in agreement. Again, the management staff is, and we are dealing with a union position. So that would be the next step, and then put it on the agenda for review and approval.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Anyone have any other questions with regard to the reorganization of Section 8? Hearing none, I don't think we need a roll call on this,
Nope.
as it was for discussion only. So the last item on our agenda deals with the Wateppa Heights litigation.
Madam Chairwoman,
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill, I just want to take a moment, if I could. I know we're pressed for time, but I think it's important to get it on the record. It goes back to the vaccines we had at the building here about a couple of weeks ago.
Certainly.
And I just wanted to put on public record and say a few thank yous to some of the people that were involved in that, because speaking as a resident, it meant a lot to us that we would be able to be vaccinated, and it went so smoothly, much more than we anticipated. And again, I'm just going to read a list of names just to get it on the record, if that's okay with you.
Oh, certainly.
It's I want to start with Kevin Spadella, Joey De Silva, Deb Morissette, Rita LeBeau, the girls here at this building, Sierra Nichol, Luann Calvo, Melissa Souza, Betsy Guzman, Bobby Bailey, Alicia Simpkins, Martha Gallagher, Nellie Costa, Ed Gagnon, Rebecca Pereira, Ed Majewski, Freddie Perez, Kevin Rodericks, also Jack Machado, and the Fall River EMTs, of course, and some of the housing police officers that were here, Officers Cabral, Cummings, DeLuz, and DeMello. And again, I just want to say everything went smoothly. Everybody was put at ease, and it was just a fantastic thing. And I just wanted to say thank you from the board for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And it did run very smoothly. I did stop by and it was going very smoothly while I was there. Okay, item I, Wateppa Heights litigation. The recommended action here is we anticipate executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of a public body. And as such, I do declare that it would have a detrimental effect. So I'm looking for a motion to go into executive session.
So move, Madam
Motion to
Chairman.
go into exec-
Commissioner Burns will second it then.
Martha, roll call, please.
Commissioner Tache,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Underhill,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Madam Chairperson.
Commissioner Burns, second.
Martha?
Commissioner Tache,
Yes.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill,
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Everyone have a safe night.